Hey guys, Michael here from AroundTheTech.com. I want to give you my review of the Nokia Lumia 900. This is a very polarizing device. If you're interested in the full written review, there will be a link below on AroundTheTech.com. So for this video review, let's go ahead and start off with just an overview of the specs. This is a 1.4 GHz single-core CPU with 512 megabytes of RAM. The front of this has a 4.3-inch clear black AMOLED display at 800 by 480 pixels. That's covered in Gorilla Glass for some extra protection. An 8-megapixel camera that shoots 1080p video with a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. LTE from AT&T. Again, right now in the United States, it's exclusive to AT&T. An 1830 milliamp hour battery. It's 127.8 millimeters by 68.5 millimeters by 11.5 millimeters, weighing in at 160 grams. It runs Windows Phone 7.5 Mango and is available now in black and cyan, which means blue, and will also be available in a glossy white, which I think looks pretty good, starting April 22nd. So let's start off with the good about the Lumia 900. First of all, the design. This is an extremely unique design. Really, there's nothing quite as aesthetically pleasing on the market as the Lumia 900. It has a unique design again, feels good, crafted out of basically unibody polycarbonate, which means it's very strong, and it's actually colored all the way through. So if you get a scratch on this, as opposed to chipping off the paint, it's actually painted all the way through, so you won't really notice it. Now, what's interesting about this phone is the specs aren't mind-blowing. You know, we talked about a single-core CPU and all that. But this phone is really smooth. Everything that you need to do in terms of web browsing, sending text messages, phone calls, it works, and it works very well. So that really is attributed to the efficiency of Windows Phone 7. So don't look at the spec sheet and think that can't compare it to a quad-core monster. You know, those quad-core devices are running Android, which is the least efficient of any mobile operating system. In terms of the display, it's again 4.3 inches. It's bright and beautiful, again clear black, AMOLED, and it works very, very well even outdoors. I'm really impressed with the reproduction on this screen, although we'll talk about it in a second. Now this is a phone, so it does have to make good phone calls. It gets really good reception, way better than the iPhone 4, which I had been using previously. Call quality is pretty good, and again, it fits comfortably in the hand. Battery life is also good. Even though it's running on LTE, you'll be able to get a solid day's use out of this. In fact, I'm in a non-LTE area right now, and I'm able to get about 2 days of moderate use out of it. I'm really picky about my smartphones, and this is one of the best batteries I've ever seen. Now, speaking of LTE, if you are in one of the select markets that actually has AT&T LTE at the time, it's really fast, and you'll be quite impressed by it. Now, in terms of some of the things I didn't like, again, we talked about the display earlier. The clear black AMOLED is great, don't get me wrong, it really works wonderfully. But the resolution is kind of low. It's only 216 pixels per inch, which is pretty low in terms of the super phones that we see now. Now, obviously, the average Joe will probably not even notice and will probably just enjoy this phone quite much. The screen will probably be a big selling point for a lot of people. I'm kind of a display snob, so I notice it. It depends what you're coming from, what you're used to. Obviously, if you're coming from a feature phone, you'll just be in love with this. If you're coming from a Retina display or maybe the Galaxy Nexus or something along those lines, you're probably going to notice a little bit of fuzziness, particularly with text. Another kind of issue I had with it is actually the optics. Nokia has been using Carl Zeiss optics for years, and those have always been one of the best on the market. This is an 8-megapixel camera, yes, but it really doesn't match up with the quality you get with, say, the iPhone 4S or even the HTC One series. In fact, this only records 720p video, and resolution aside, the video, just as the pictures, just aren't quite as crisp, quite as vibrant, quite as vivid as some of those other phones, which is quite a surprise, particularly again because Nokia has always been quality imaging. Perhaps some of that is post-processing and software updates could fix it, but right now I'm a little bit bummed out about the camera. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about Windows Phone. A lot of people are hesitant to use this because it's not using one of the two primary operating systems that we have, iOS and of course Android. This is again Windows Phone with that Metro UI. Now, I have a software tour video going over specifically what Metro UI entails and how Windows Phone works, but I just want to give you kind of the synopsis of my, time with this device. It does text messaging well. It does phone calls well. It does emails well. It does web browsing well. The basics that you're going to have work perfectly fine on Windows Phone. In fact, I'll go so far to say that with the live tiles, it probably is it's a very unique and refreshing experience. Another thing I love about Windows Phone is the social media integration. For instance, you put your contacts in. When you connect your social networks such as Twitter and Facebook, that information is pulled from the cloud and synchronized with your contacts. It's really an excellent feature and works very well. The one kind of knock on this is basically the app catalog, the marketplace. It's kind of limited, particularly for games. Particularly those word games, let's say Hang with Friends, the Draw This, Words with Friends, all those things that a lot of people play on their smartphones, that doesn't exist on Windows Phone yet, and there aren't really any comparable apps. But for something like internet radio, perhaps there aren't official applications, but there are comparable ones that work quite well for Windows Phone. In fact, Windows Phone has actually grown a lot since the last time I've used Windows Phone, which was a couple months ago with the HD7S. Overall, I'm actually really impressed with Windows Phone. I think there's a lot of growth in front of it, but I think the fact that it's very social-oriented and is oriented on giving you information instead of just showing you all your applications, such as Android and iOS, I think that's a very refreshing and it's a solid choice. So overall, I just want to give you just some final feedback here. Again, you can check out the full written review on aroundthetech.com. It feels great in the hand. I really like the way it feels. It may be a little too big, because your thumb really can't reach all parts of the screen when you're holding it. So that's kind of an issue, but otherwise it feels good in the hand. It works really well, and it works really quickly, which if you just looked at the specs, you may not be sold about. And honestly, for a phone of this caliber with LTE and excellent battery life, it's $100 on a 2-year contract. And if you buy before April 21st, it's actually free with an AT&T credit that you'll get on your bill. So for free or $100, this is one of the cheapest super phones or smartphones that you'll be able to get for now on AT&T or any carrier. I'm actually really impressed by this. The average consumer will definitely love this phone. You know, if you're on the 4S, the Galaxy Nexus, the Samsung Galaxy S2, it may not be a super upgrade for you, but if you're coming off of any sort of other older smartphone or a feature phone, this is a solid upgrade and is one that's really great. And you know what? On April 22nd, it's actually coming out in a glossy way, which I think is a little bit cooler looking than even this blue one. So overall, I think this is an excellent phone, 4 out of 5, and I really do recommend this device if you're in the market for an LTE powerhouse on AT&T. Again, I'm Michael Sherlock from AroundTheTech.com. Thanks for watching this review of the Nokia Lumia 900, and have a good day.